the people, glaucoma, cataracts. There's no surgeries in that day. Blindness was very common. It pointed towards spiritual blindness. And these men, just like most people, if you didn't have a great family that would take care of you, you ended up on the street. You either ended up selling your body or you ended up being a beggar. Verse 27, Jesus passed on from there, and 2 blind men followed him, crying out loud, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." There it is. You're the only one that can bring heaven to earth. You're the only one that can bring the blessings and presence and the promises of God. Mercy is give us what we don't deserve. They don't think they deserve anything but hell. By the way, you don't deserve anything but hell. Neither me. I think most of the time when you listen to people who are critical and complaining, they think they deserve better. If you want to know what you really deserve biblically, it's hell. To be separated from God. And I hope you take that well. I don't mean it in any bad way. I just mean God says you deserve hell. Matter of fact, grace, you can't sing Amazing Grace unless you think Amazing Grace is amazing. That God forgave you of your rebellion. That God knows everything you've ever thought and did and said, and He loves you in Christ Jesus. That's what's amazing. These men say, we don't deserve anything. Now that's interesting because they're in a culture that taught they must have sinned or their family must have sinned and God is judging them, which is a horrible theology. But they're in that oppression. Have mercy on us, Son of David. Bring heaven to earth in us. Notice 28. What's he do? He enters the house. The blind men come into him. Jesus said to them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" And they said to him, would you say it if you have it? Yes, Lord. There's no place, there's no time, there's no good time for any of us in Christ to say, "No, Lord." You can't say no and Lord very long. He can't be your Lord and you say no. If He's called you to forgive someone here or out of here, forgive them. Not because you feel like it, but because God commands you to forgive as you have been forgiven. If He's called you lately to be generous and giving of your time and your finances, get out of the scaredness and start giving. He'll take care of you. You can't take it with you anyway. By the way, nothing counts that you leave. You leave stuff for people, nothing counts to your credit. It's what you give that counts to your credit. And for some of us, giving financially is actually easier than giving our service because we've gotten so busy and focused on ourselves. Maybe that's what He's calling you to do. Wherever you've said, "No, Lord," is where you're stuck. That's where you're stuck. I can't forgive that pastor. I can't forgive my parent. I can't forgive whoever. You're stuck. Maybe it's proclaiming. Maybe you said, "I'm too scared to proclaim." I would ask you to start saying, "Yes, Lord, I'll do it. You give me the ability. You give me the strength. Here's my prayer every day. I'll tell it to you again. Let me point one person to you, just at least one today." Wherever you say, "No, Lord," that's where you're going to get in trouble. That's where you get in trouble. Verse 29. Notice what He does. He touches them. He doesn't have to. He touches their eyes. They're unclean, just like the woman. Nobody touches them. Nobody has anything to do with them. Can you imagine if you were in the time of Jesus believing that and hearing that, and you see this person who says he's the Son of God and He touches sinners and makes Himself unclean? If you were there, just like the Pharisees, you would say to Him, "Now you're unclean for 7 days. You cannot go to the temple." And He says, "I don't care." Love goes across all kinds of boundaries. Their eyes, verse 30, were open. I think this is the hardest command in the New Testament. He warned them, don't tell anybody. I think He didn't want the crowds to get too big. The Jewish people were now following. The Romans were now following. He says, "My hour has not come." Don't push things. Don't go telling everybody. But they do. 31, they went away and spread His fame, His reputation, through all the district. When you were growing up, we'll just end with this. Who's the most famous person you admired? I bet you right now they're either hobbling or dead. Thank God. People come and go that are famous. It don't matter, again, how many people loved them, adored them. Doesn't matter. Other than Elvis, who's still alive on an island, who would it have been? Who did you think was amazing? Famous people come and go. But there's one's fame that will last forever. And they said, we want to tell how we love you. Last week we read the confession. What's the chief end of mankind? To love, to know God and enjoy Him forever. Well, turn that around as we leave. Turn it around. What's God's main goal in life? It is to spread His glory and His joy forever. If you know God in that way, you can come. The one who stood out in the street said, come. The one who on the cross said, come. If you know His main goal is to spread His glory into your life and His joy into you forever, you can bring your adultery or your pornography or your murder or your gossip or your unforgiveness or your racism or your anger or your sexual sins. None of them equal that He is going to overcome them and push them out and be a greater joy to you than all those things. None of them matter